Today on HotDiecast Garage, we're going to restore this red Porsche 959 I bought at a flea market for 50 cents. I pulled this car out of a bin with a bunch of other Hot Wheels cars that were all stirred together, and this one is pretty scratched up, and it's also a very old model. This is my first Hot Wheels restoration, so I'm definitely a restoration rookie, but we're going to give it a shot and have some fun with this one. It's a Hot Wheels Porsche 959 from 1987. Let's bring this car back to its glory days. Our first step was to put the car in a clamp, so we wrapped it in a towel to keep it from getting more scratched. Once the car was clamped up, it was time to drill out the rivets that held the car together. This process will separate the body from the chassis and allow us to do each part step by step. Once we popped out the 2 rivets, now we have 3 parts: the car body, the chassis, and the interior. It'll be much easier to work on each piece now that they're all separated. Another small but important part is the window, which pops right out of the car's body. Later on, we're going to attempt the process to clean this window up and make it look brand new. The paint from the body has to be removed, and there's a few different ways we're going to attempt to do that. I want to give the chassis a brand new shine, as well as clean up those wheels and make them look brand new. Now there is one part that looks pretty fresh, and that's the interior. All I'm going to do to this is probably paint it black. After drilling out those rivets, the chassis has some sharp edges, so we're going to attempt to smooth those out. Now the first step to remove most of the paint is to use this premium paint stripper to spray on the car and basically melt it right off. Once you spray it on the car, you wait about 15 minutes for the chemicals to eat away at the paint. This was definitely the fastest way to get the paint off and also make it a clean finish. In the meantime, we're going to attempt to give this chassis a new shine. Here we're going to use some metallic bright silver spray paint to really give it a bright color. Obviously there are many ways to clean metal, but this was a fast and affordable way to give it a new look. The next part we're going to give a new look to is the interior, which we're going to paint with some black spray paint. This semi-gloss black paint and primer should apply to this plastic well and give it a nice seal. Now that it's covered, we're going to let it dry for a little bit and get back to the main event. Now that the paint stripper has settled for a little bit on the car's body, it has acted and melted on the car, and this has resulted in some drippy paint that we can now easily wash off and clean out the metal body. After rinsing it, it's probably a good idea to do another coat of paint stripper just to get off any extras, but we used a different process to try to get out the little details. Steel wool is definitely a good tool to scratch off some paint and also shine up the metal. After attacking the car's surface with some steel wool, I decided to get a sharp point and go down in the body lines of the car's creases. Hopefully after going around the edges, the final body lines of the car will show up a lot better under our final coat of brand new paint. Now we didn't get off every flake of paint, but it's definitely good enough that we can now apply our paint primer to the car's metal body. After the first round of paint primer, there were some spots that didn't get touched up completely, so we had to go over it again with a second coat to make sure it was perfect. Once the second coat of primer had dried, it was time to apply our final paint color, which is yellow. It was definitely a good idea to go light on the spray paint so that way it didn't drip down the car's body. For the car's windshield, we decided to use toothpaste to not only clean the dirt, but also to hopefully smooth out some of the lines in the plastic. After applying some pressure with the towel, we rinsed it under water, and it definitely looked a lot more clear than it did at first. I dipped a paintbrush in the metallic spray paint to try to touch up the wheels. I made a little bit of a mess on the tires, but I managed to clean that up, and the metallic paint definitely matched the original color. At this point, the wheels were looking good, the chassis was looking shiny. With this part done, we're definitely getting closer to the end of this restoration, and we're about to put this car together. But first I wanted to add some detail back to the car's body, since it originally had headlights, and that was something I really wanted to add back onto the car. Using a paintbrush and that white primer paint, I was able to give the car some of that Porsche style back. Now that the car has its headlights, it's time to give it some clear glaze spray paint to really shine it up and give it that final seal. Not only will it make the paint a little more vibrant, but it should also help prevent scratches. We are now on to the final step where we assemble the car. We put the windshield in first, then follows our brand new black interior, which should snap right in there along with the windshield. After that, we apply some super glue on the pegs where the rivets used to be, and this will basically seal up the car and hopefully hold it together when we apply the metal chassis. Now we apply some pressure to snap this car back together, and it's ready to go. Overall, I think the car looks pretty good. It's definitely not perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did when we first bought it. I think it turned out pretty good for a rookie restoration. If you guys want to see more Hot Wheels videos, make sure to subscribe here at HotDiecast Garage. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next Hot Wheels video.